And when I went over to question the bus driver that was transporting these kids, border agents told me, as a member of Congress, that you're not allowed to question the bus driver. And of course, people knowing me, I didn't take no for an answer, and I repeated the question. And I was told that this bus of children was leaving El Paso and going to San Diego. And so what was occurring under the Biden administration is that they were busing unaccompanied minors all across the United States for one reason and one reason only. And that was because they did not want the press to see the pictures of kids in cages. They did not want to see our borders being overrun. They wanted to disperse that problem all through the United States.
Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. The video that I just showed you was came out a couple of days ago. That was Byron Donalds, okay, from Florida, who was questioning some of the mayors. In case anybody hasn't heard, they had a meeting with 4 mayors. The mayor of Boston, mayor of New York, mayor of Chicago, and the mayor of Colorado. And the meeting that they had in front of Congress, if you want to call it a meeting, the questioning, whatever the case was about the whole illegal immigrant situation, okay, and the fact of the missing migrant children, that it's in the hundreds of thousands, okay. The reason why I decided to make this video tonight was because I watched Donald Trump a couple of days ago when he gave his speech in front of Congress. And the, how can I say, the disgusting display of the way the Democrats acted. And I'm not talking about that Senator, I think he is, or whatever, Al Green, acting a fool, waving his cane. I'm not talking about that crap, okay? In my opinion, he's just a washed up old man that has problems in his own district, and he's trying to deflect and try to point the finger at somebody else. But whatever, I really don't care about that dude. It was the way when Donald Trump spoke about Laken Riley, spoke about, I believe her name is Ungera, I keep pronouncing her name wrong, which was the little girl in Texas that was killed by 2 illegal migrants. And the little boy DJ, okay, who was dressed as a police officer, and he was given an honorary Secret Service, he was given the honorary title of being a Secret Service agent. Now, just a little context before I go on, okay? Because, like I said, I had to put this video together because I am so sick and tired of people on the left, okay? Never mind the mainstream media. I am so sick and tired of content creators going out there and trying to paint this picture of Donald Trump and his supporters as being heartless, as being fascist, as being racist. Just every negative thing that they can think of, they throw it at people on the right, okay? But yet, when there were people in the crowd, when Trump was giving his speech, who have lost loved ones, okay, their daughters to be precise, to brutal crimes of rape and murder, not one Democrat, from what I could see, stood up. A few of them clapped hands, but it was like they didn't even want to clap. When the little boy, DJ, who is a cancer survivor, mind you, from what I think is a cancer survivor, or he's still fighting it, but he's doing way better than what he was diagnosed with a few years ago, you would think that every Democrat, since they're all about Black Lives Matter and, you know, dealing with the disenfranchised and, you know, black and brown people, indigenous, you know, transgender and women and yada, 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 you would think they would have had the common decency to stand up and clap for that little boy also, but they didn't. They didn't. And why? Because they're basically showing their true colors, like I've been calling it and many other people have been calling it out. They don't care. They don't care if you live or die. They don't care if you're an illegal immigrant child that's come over here, that was brought over here, that was kidnapped and brought over here. They don't care. Okay? They don't care if you're a little black boy in America who's battling cancer that wants to be a cop someday. They won't get up and clap for him. They don't care if you're a young, how old was she? 12 or 13 years old? Girl that was brutally raped and murdered by 2 illegal migrants who the Biden administration let in. They didn't get up and show any respect for her. They didn't show any respect for Laken Riley, who was on her way to becoming a doctor. No, they were more interested in coddling all these illegals that are criminals and letting them loose. And then when you wind up pointing it out to them that it's their fault, you'll wind up having somebody from the left try to spin it around and turn all the focus on Donald Trump because they have nothing else. Okay? I mean, they showed no respect, and yet they want to go and make it seem like, oh, they're the party that cares the most. That Donald Trump and his supporters don't care. That we don't care about women. We don't care about children. It's all a farce. We're fascist. Okay? We're racist. Xenophobe. Homophobe. You know, everything. Everything they could think of so they can coddle themselves emotionally and make it seem as if, you know what, they're the ones that are so damn self-righteous. And then when you bring it up to them, they can't even give you a straight answer. All they could keep saying is, and this was afterwards, when the Democrats had to give a rebuttal. Everything was Donald Trump's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar. That's all they kept saying. He's a liar. Everything he said was a lie. Everything he said was a lie. Really? You want to tell that to Laken Riley's mom and her sister? You want to tell that, I don't know, to Nangari's mom? Because she lost a daughter. You want to go and tell DJ's father that he didn't watch his son battle brain cancer for the past few years? Instead of them pushing their hate to the side for Donald Trump and just say, you know what? Since we taught ourselves to be the party of love and acceptance, and we're here for black people and brown people and indigenous and women, whatever the case is, let's stand up and show a little respect, but they didn't. And I even hate bringing up race, but look at the scenario. Laken Riley's mom and sister got up, they're white. Nangari's mom got up, they're Hispanic. DJ got up, him and his dad, they're black. I thought you Democrats were all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. You didn't even have the decency to get up and show respect and just ignore Trump. You didn't even have the decency to get up, look at the people that he was honoring, and try to pay memorial to. You all just sat in your chairs, and then one of the best parts, which is not the best, I'm just saying, was that there's women in the Democrat crowd dressed in pink to symbolize what? Women. And yet 2 young women will be memorialized because they got brutally raped and murdered because of policies that your leader, Biden, implemented. And you people didn't. It's not that you didn't even have the respect. Okay. It's not that you didn't have the respect. What I seen in that crowd, you people sitting down, and some of them just turning away, a couple of them clapping, but with their head to the side. What I seen was just guilt and shame, and rightly so. But anyway, people, I'm going to play that clip that I played, and we're going to touch some more on this. The clip that I played in the beginning, that was by Brian Donalds. Okay? That came out 2 days ago. I'm going to play this clip just so everybody can get a little more context in case you didn't know or you forgot, of over a year ago, October 25th, 2023. Check this out. Here we go.
Thank you, Senator Grassley. Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Marcos, can I just start with you? You testified a moment ago to Senator Butler that every child gets a Know Your Rights presentation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that before or after you release them to labor traffickers?
Senator, every child that comes into our care gets a Know Your Rights presentation, as well as...
Have you read these New York Times reports, these stories, the series of stories the New York Times has done on the children who are in your care? Have you read them?
Yes, I have.
Have you read that children are scrubbing dishes, they are operating heavy machinery, they are delivering meals, they are harvesting coffee, they are working construction, they are working as housekeepers, they are working overnight shifts at plants where they are not paid, they are not going to school, they are not cared for, they are not getting meals, almost all of it illegally. Are you aware of that? That's a yes or no.
Yes.
Do the Know Your Rights presentation help them in those situations?
Senator, ORR...
That's a yes or no, I think. Do you really think that you're helping these children by releasing them to labor traffickers and, yes, sex traffickers? 85,000 children whom you have no contact with, and your answer is we gave them a presentation before we turned them over to these people who are exploiting them on a scale not seen in this country for 100 years, a century. A century. It's a disgrace in the United States of America. Let me ask you this. You did an audit, I noticed, where you gave yourself a clean bill of health. So just tell me this. Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Senator, we have a thorough vetting process.
Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Yes, we go through...
No, you do not. You do not. Have you read the Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations reports on your office? There was one in 2016, there was one in 2018, there was one in 2020, there was one in 2022, spanning administrations. What they found is you do not require sponsors to document their relationship with the child. You release them anyway. What about background checks? Do you require background checks on all adults in the household?
In cases where the child is being released to their parents, we do not require background checks. But Senator, do you
require background checks on all adults in the household in any case?
Yes, in some cases we do.
What percentage of cases do you do background checks on the adults in the household?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Do you do home?
Okay, let me pause it real quick, people. I'm sorry. I don't know how many times you all have heard, but like I said, I keep it close here to the ground. I have heard at least, and I'm not going to exaggerate and say hundreds or dozens, I've heard at least 5 or 6 cases where migrant children have been raped by people living in the house. In other words, like a mother came over with her child, a mother and father came over with their child, they wind up letting some other illegal immigrants stay with them that they really didn't know, but being that they're bunching them all up, and then one of those guys in there ends up raping the child. So when she comes out and says that they're checking everyone in the house, I truly find that hard to believe. And then after they find out that the person did what they did and they arrest them, later on they come to find out that that person is usually wanted in their country for child molestation, rape, murder, battery, committing crimes. So it makes you wonder. Every single time Biden was saying, oh, that, you know what, these other countries, they don't work with us when it comes to us getting their records. So my question is then why the hell do you keep letting them in if the countries that they're coming from if you reach out to them and say, listen, we need to know who this person is, and they're telling you, we don't have to give you that information. Why would you let them in? Because they don't care. They don't care if it's an American being tortured or an immigrant being tortured, a woman or a child. They don't care. And it's funny that every single time, and this is reminiscent of when Obama was president, every single time they had to bring one of his cronies up to be questioned, they never had the answers, they never had the receipts. I'll get back to you. Same thing, just like Biden's administration. Everybody he appointed, everybody that they brought in front of Congress is always the same thing. Why is that? Why is that? And I don't want to hear that, oh, the Republicans are the same. No, when they come, for the most part, at least 90%, 95%, they bring the receipts. The Democrats just won't let them talk. And to think that this was back then in October, but this goes way back, as you're going to see. Here we go.
Visits in all cases. You can actually see where these children are being released, whose care you're putting them in.
We do not do home visits in all cases. Senator, I'd really like the opportunity to talk about what we are doing.
I know what you're doing, and it's incredibly and totally inadequate. And we can read about it in the New York Times. Since you say you've read it, let's talk a little bit about that New York Times report if we could. Here's a quote from the April 17th installment. Again and again, veteran government staffers and outside contractors told HHS, including reports that reached the secretary, that children appeared to be at risk. Did you warn the secretary that children were at risk?
Senator, I'm in regular contact with the secretary.
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
Safety and well-being of children is our top priority.
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
I'm not going to get into the conversations I've had.
You're here and you're under oath, and this is an oversight hearing, and we need to know what you're doing because you're manifestly not doing your job. Did you warn him that children were at risk? Do you believe that children are at risk? Let's start with that.
Yes.
Okay. Did you warn the secretary?
Unreal.
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics of my conversation, but I would like the opportunity.
Why wouldn't you warn the secretary that children were at risk?
I would like the opportunity to talk about what we.
Let's look at what the secretary said.
It's sickening. It's not. They don't care about what it is that you're doing right. If you're doing it right, then there's no question. There's no reason to question it. They want to know what went wrong, why did it go wrong, and why did it continue to go wrong. But once again, leave it up to them to spin it around. It's like, yeah, the building did collapse, but I did do a good paint job. Nobody cares about the paint job if the building collapsed. You know? I mean, it's the closest analogy I could think of, because if you think about it, nobody cares. No, it's not that nobody cares that you treated the kids good. That's a good thing. Fine, let's push that to the side. Now, what about all the other kids that are missing, that are being tortured, okay, that are being put into sex slavery and work slavery, whatever you want? What about them? We already know that the other ones that you took care of, we know they're safe. We know that. Don't try to toot your horn on that. Because if they came out and said that they saved 85,000 kids and one poor child was the victim to one of these crimes, then okay, no problem. But it's the opposite. You don't have the numbers of all the ones that you did help, but the ones you totally lost, the ones that are totally missing, the ones that are totally in danger, is in the tens of thousands. How these people think is beyond me. And like I said, once again, the Republicans bring the receipts, the Democrats bring nothing, but they want to skirt away from the root of the problem. Let's continue.
To you. The other one, James. Yeah, that one. At least 5 HHS staff members said they were pushed out after raising concerns about child safety. Mr. Becerra, the secretary, told the ORR director, that's you, right, that if she could not increase the number of discharges, he would find someone who could. And then he went on to say that if Henry Ford had run his plants like this, he would never have become famous and rich. This is not the way you do an assembly line.
Unbelievable.
Get the kids out, run them through, get them out to those sponsors, those traffickers. Why didn't you resign when he said this? Do you think that this is morally acceptable?
Senator, I joined ORR in September of 2022. I believe that was reported prior to my arrival, but I cannot speak.
This is from an article this year.
I can't speak to what the secretary.
Do you think that this is acceptable to run ORR like an assembly line and to release these children to traffickers?
We do not run ORR like an assembly line. The safety and well-being of children is our top concern. And by
Plainly not. Plainly, it is not your top concern because you have managed to lose 85,000 of them. And the Times knows where they are, or 2/3 of them, and they're with labor traffickers. It's unbelievable. Let me just ask you this. How many kids right now, the 430,000 approximately, unaccompanied children have crossed the border under this administration? It's an astounding number. How many are you in regular contact with right now?
Senator, we have a number of different providers across the country who.
But what's the number? What's the number? How many of you are you? You said child welfare is your top concern. What's the number?
I don't have the specific number.
How can you not know? Why would you come to this hearing and not know?
Unbelievable.
Respectfully, if you would like us to provide comprehensive case management to children after they're released from our care, so we can report.
Respectfully, I would like you to do your job and not release children to human traffickers. Respectfully, that's what I would like. I'd like you not facilitate the largest child trafficking ring in American history.
I mean, is it that hard? It's just incredible, people. It's incredible. I mean, you know, it takes a certain mindset to commit crimes, right? And I was born and raised in the streets. But it takes a very devious mindset to even want to be associated with anything like this, never mind take part in it, and think that just because you're helping one or two, that's enough to cover the mistakes of the other 10 or 20. You know, Josh Hawley, when he came on and said this is one of the biggest child trafficking rings, I mean, that's all it is. That's all it is. And just in case people say, oh, well, you know what? This is all like, at the time, this was all present, whatever the case is. We're going to go to the next tape. You're going to hear now, you're going to see the whole clip with Brian Donalds, okay? And he's going to shed some light on this. Here we go.
From Florida.
Thank you, Chairman. This is my third term on the Oversight Committee. We've been talking about illegal immigration and oversight the entire time. I remember we had a group of this committee that went down to the El Paso section of the border. This was back in February, March of 2021.
Okay, real quickly, people, you see that? He put this out, what's this, March 5th. This was 3 days ago, okay? He's talking about they went back out there in March of 2021. That was, what, 2 months after Biden became president, after he was sworn in. Check this out.
And during that time period, we were at one of the holding centers, and there were these buses that were coming to the detention facility, and they were picking up 30 kids, 50 kids at random, walking out of the facility. And when I went over to question the bus driver that was transporting these kids, border agents told me, as a member of Congress, that you're not allowed to question the bus driver. And of course, people knowing me, I didn't take no for an answer, and I repeated the question. And I was told that this bus of children was leaving El Paso and going to San Diego. And so what was occurring under the Biden administration is that they were busing unaccompanied minors all across the United States for one reason and one reason only. And that was because they did not want the press to see the pictures of kids in cages. They did not want to see our borders being overrun. They wanted to disperse that problem all through the United States.
Look at that. Busloads of kids as early as 2021, March of 2021. So that means that these children that have been ignored, that have been dispersed, that are basically, they've disappeared for all intents and purposes. I mean, if you think about it, okay, that's what the Biden administration was doing. Instead of holding those kids in the safest place, which is at the border, and say, you know what, a lot of these kids came over unaccompanied, we need to hold them. No, let's just stick them on buses, let's just ship them wherever, and you know that they're not doing anything good with them, because if they were, it'd be all over the mainstream media. They will be showing hordes of kids from other countries, regardless of where you want to put them, in gymnasiums, in schools, in rec centers, wherever, just so you can show the American people, these are all the kids that came over unaccompanied. No, where are they? It's 3 years, 3.5, 4 years later. Now they're definitely older. Where are they? Where are all these kids? They're not running around the streets in San Diego. Because, I mean, the mainstream media, social media, anybody that cares will be all over it, showing all these kids by themselves in the streets. That they find their parents and bring them over also? No word on that. Did they send them back to wherever they came from? No word on that. How can you? If they came unaccompanied, you don't know who their parents are. Where are you going to send them? Or you send them to what they think is best. To the highest bidder. And I hate saying it like that, but let's just be real here, people. Where else can these kids be? This is not 100 kids, 10 kids. We're talking tens of thousands of kids. Can anybody tell me if anybody has seen in San Diego, California, New York, wherever, has anybody seen large groups of kids unaccompanied that are saying that they came over across the border, they don't know who their parents are? I guarantee you the answer to that is no. Because if it was true, like I said, everybody would be all over it. Even civilians in the street with their cell phones would be all over it. So it makes you wonder, where are these kids? What happened to them? And yet you have the Democrats always talking about, we got to save the trans kids. Everybody on the right's racist to the black and brown indigenous. Last I checked, okay, and I did a couple of videos on it, where they were snatching up kids from Guatemala, from all these the tribes up in the mountains that don't speak English, and they have a hard time understanding their language, their dialect. They don't have interpreters. That's where a lot of these kids came from. So you're talking so much about black, brown, and indigenous. How come you're not worried about the indigenous kids that were brought over here illegally, without their parents, without adult supervision? And yet all you content creators out there, especially, this is one thing that pisses me off. Listen, the Democrats want to talk about women's rights, abortion, transgenderism, whatever it is. You want to talk about that, go right ahead. Okay? There's one thing I cannot stand. And I've been seeing a lot of it. There are male content creators out there that are so, they're so in deep with the Democrats that if you go, and I've counted about 7 or 8 so far. I try not to look up too many, because I mean it'll make you bleed through your freaking eyes. Okay? These men are so weak and so cowardly that all they do, they badmouth Trump, they badmouth his supporters, they call us racist, they call us all kinds of bullshit. Some of them are even talking about, oh, you got to watch we're fighting for trans kids' rights. As a grown man, I don't know how in the world another grown man would be so worried about kids' sexuality. They talk about women's abortion rights. Okay? If you go on their pages, if you go on their channels, and you look back, and some of them not too long ago, they really did have a channel. All they had was a couple of videos, a couple of views, but all of a sudden, they jump on the Let's Hate Trump grift, and now their channels are exploding. But this is day after day, video after video. All they do is badmouth Trump and his supporters. They talk nothing about the girls in America getting raped and or murdered. They talk nothing about the kids that have gone missing and coming over the border. They talk nothing about the American kids that are being snatched up and disappearing. They talk nothing about that, but all they do is preach of how much they love and they worry about trans kids and women's rights to have abortions. Let me tell you something. I really don't care which content creator sees this. If it hurts you, you know I'm talking about you. You're a coward. You're not a man. You're all a bunch of damn cowards. You're soft. Okay? And instead of the left, because I'm going to keep repeating it, standing up when Trump was giving his speech for the victims, the parents of the victims, standing up for the little boy and his father for what they're going through. No. Nope, wasn't good enough, couldn't do it. Like I said, him and his dad, they're black. I keep forgetting that Jocelyn, I think her name is Jocelyn Nungary. I can't remember, forgive me. They're Hispanic. Lake and Riley, they're white. They didn't care about the white family, the Spanish family, or the black family. Nope, not one bit. But yet, in their summer of love, and I'm not trying to talk ill about anybody that's deceased, but they went and they erected a statue for a guy that gave the cops a hard time, if you know what I'm saying, George Floyd. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that man should have died, but where the hell are your priorities? You let people protest and nearly burn cities down to the ground, and yet here are people who didn't choose to do drugs, okay, didn't choose to live a life of crime, are doing their best to survive, and you can't even stand up and at least just stand up. You ain't got to clap, but stand up to show your respect. Nope, couldn't do that. And yet all they could say is that Donald Trump is the racist. But meanwhile, Biden, 2 months after he became president, they were already hoarding kids in buses and shipping them around the country.
That is the reckless history of illegal immigration under Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. Mayor Johnston of Denver, you lamented earlier that there were 10 to 11 buses coming per day to your city. Did you ever talk to Joe Biden about why this was happening to your community?
Thank you, Congressman. I both reached out to Governor Abbott from Texas. He didn't respond, and I did.
Why would you reach out to Governor Abbott of Texas when it is Joe Biden, the former commander-in-chief, that opened up our borders?
Exactly.
Why didn't you talk to him?
Well, our buses directly were being sent from Governor Abbott in Texas.
Doesn't matter.
That's why we reached out to say we're happy to collaborate on a coordinated entry system. We understand no one state or no one city should bear the entire brunt of this, but let's collaborate. But I did.
So I'm glad you said that, because that brings me to my next point. Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis, when they started moving illegal aliens out of their states who were bearing the brunt of what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were doing, and they've sent them to Denver, they sent them to Chicago, they sent them to New York, they sent them to Martha's Vineyard. The reason why they did that is because you four could hide behind the realities of illegal immigration on border towns all through our country and on cities and states who did not want to see illegal immigration, but did not have the political representation to go to the White House. And only when it showed up on your doorstep did you get upset. Mayor Johnston, coming back to you.
Exactly.
How much did your city spend on illegal immigration? Do you have a round number?
Over the last couple of years, on all newcomers, whatever their status was, it's around 79 million since 2022.
79 million. Mayor Johnson, Chicago. How much has the city of Chicago spent on illegal immigration?
If you're referring to the 2022 up to 2024 of the buses coming from Texas, roughly the same percentage of the state of Texas, about 1% of our overall budget.
What is that? Because we don't have the city's budget in front of me. Numbers.
It's 1%, and if you want the actual calculation, we can make sure someone...
You're the mayor. You don't have the
Unbelievable.
math in front of you.
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing
which
mayor.
is
Mayor
the same
Adams,
number that
how
was
much did the
sent from
city of
us
New York
from the
actually
state
spend
of
on
Texas.
illegal immigration? Mayor Johnson, I already asked you. You don't have a hard number, and if you don't have a hard number, you're not running your city well. Mayor Adams, how much did the city of New York actually spend on illegal immigration?
6.9 billion of taxpayers.
$6.9 billion
dollars
in New
of
York.
taxpayer money on a.
In New York, let me tell you something. All you people from New York, all you leftists from New York, all you liberals and Democrats that are complaining about housing, that are complaining about dirty streets, crime, all that, and you still keep voting Democrat, they just took $6.9 billion of New York City working taxpayers' money. Okay? To coddle people that came into this country illegally, where many of them committed crimes against you and themselves. Think about that. 6.9 billion. In my hometown of New York. Well, I know for a fact a lot of my family and friends are working 2 or 3 jobs to keep up with the bills. And because Biden and his sick, twisted, demonic agenda is costing the American taxpayer billions upon billions of dollars. Billions upon billions alone in just New York. And you're saying that Donald Trump is the one that's going to destroy this country? You're saying that he's the racist? That he's the homophobe, the xenophobe, whatever, all you liberals out there in New York and other places that keep saying that? Meanwhile, the people that you voted for are taking billions upon billions of dollars. For what? To let criminals roam free, commit crimes, and let them go, and then they go and kill Americans, and then they take their children, and those children are disappearing? Is that what you're paying for? While all you grifters online, all you can do is keep talking bad about Donald Trump. Keep talking about how you got to fight for trans kids' rights.
Problem that was fostered on the American people. Mayor Wu, in the city of Boston, how much did you spend?
We don't ask about immigration status and delivering
You
citizens.
don't ask about how much money the city of Boston has spent on illegal immigration?
We
Are you
don't
out of your
distinguish
mind?
between immigration status.
Do you
as
manage
part
your
of our
budget
city
or not,
policies.
Mayor Wu?
That is how we keep
Mayor
our city
Wu, do
safe.
you manage your budget or
We have
not?
numbers to prove it. I manage.
She said that's the way they keep their city safe, by not asking anybody's immigration status. Let me tell you something about this woman. Okay? A few days ago, she was on TV. I don't know if anybody heard. There was an incident that happened in Boston where there was some guy, I think he was attacking 2 people with a couple of knives. Those 2 people ran into a Chick-fil-A, if I remember. It was Chick-fil-A. There was an off-duty cop, got into it with the guy. He shot the guy dead. Okay? Excuse me. This woman right here, with I believe the police chief and other officials, went on camera, not thanking the cop for averting something that could have been deadly. No. They got on camera giving their condolences to the family of the guy that was killed because he was trying to kill somebody, but she saw it fit to send their deepest condolences to a would-be killer. You don't believe me? Look it up. Meanwhile, Once again, like I said, when Donald Trump was giving his speech, there was families there of two women. I mean, families of two girls, I should say, because they were both young. One was younger than the other, who got raped and murdered by illegal immigrants. And this woman's going to come out and say they don't ask nobody their status about, you know, if they're here legally or not. They don't ask about their immigration status. That's what keeps their city safe. That's what keeps their state safe. Really? How does that work? Explain that to me. How is it by you not wanting to know who someone is, where they're coming from, what's their past, you know nothing about, by you keeping that a secret, that's going to make things safer?
Manage my budget. I have a AAA bond rating dating back 10 years.
So to the city of Boston,
budget.
just understand that your mayor does not care how much of your resources she has spent on people who are not citizens
The city of
the
Boston
city of
is
Boston.
sick of having
I'm
people
reclaiming my
outside
time.
Boston
Mr.
telling
Bear,
us what
Mr.
we
Bear, I
do.
have a question.
Did you hear what she said? The city of Boston is sick of people from the outside telling them how to live. Let me tell you something. Boston, I don't know whatever happened to you, Boston. I don't know what happened to you people, that you people would allow a woman like this to come out and say something like that. Boston is not another country. Boston is in the United States, in case none of yous remember. This is the problem with California and with Gavin Newsom, and now you have a mayor in Boston that thinks like this. She'll come out and say, we're sick and tired of people outside of Boston telling us how to live, but yet when they needed freaking money so they could keep housing the illegals, they all went straight to Biden and took more of our taxpayer money, the rest of the country's money, to do their dirty work. And she's got the nerve to sit there and say, we're sick and tired of people telling us how to live. Really? You know, this is why the Democrats lost and they're going to keep losing. And I tell you one thing right now. I know Trump's only got 4 years. Is Trump perfect? No, he's not. Is he way better? Absolutely. By far, no matter what anybody says, in my opinion, by far. When the time comes, people, in 2028, vote in J.D. Vance. In the midterms, people, if you truly care, like you say, you truly care about women and children, in 2026 or whenever this woman has to get reelected or a vote comes up, whatever, vote her ass out. Get rid of the Eric Adams and the Brandon Johnsons and the Gavin Newsoms and whatever this woman's name is. Because there is no way you can tell me that you can live with this, and if something happens to someone that you love, because believe it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, a guy that goes out there to rape somebody doesn't ask them if they voted Democrat or Republican. A pedophile child molester doesn't kidnap a kid and then ask the kid, what do your parents vote? But leave it up to a Democrat, a rhino, or a liberal to let those same criminals back out on the street and then have the gall, like this woman, to come out and say, the people of Boston are tired of people on the outside telling us how to live. Then you know what? Build a damn fence around Boston if that's how you feel. Don't pass Boston. Don't come into New York. Don't come into none of that. Don't do that. Just stay there. You know, they'll suckle off the teat of everybody else in the country to get what they want. And then when you question them, what you're doing is not right. It's like, you can't tell me nothing. You just got to give me. You can't say nothing.
For you, because I understand Cato's perspective when it comes to illegal immigration. I understand that the Cato Institute for a long time has had a standard of actually having open immigration into the United States. Generally speaking, I don't want to get into specific.
We support legal immigration. We want immigration to be legal.
Let me ask you this question, because one of the great libertarians of the modern era, Milton Friedman famously said, you can either have open borders or a welfare state, but you have to choose. Mr. Beer, what do you choose?
Milton Friedman said he wanted to allow illegal immigration to continue. I disagree with Milton Friedman's position on that. We should have legal immigration and build a wall around the welfare state, not around the country. That's in the best interest of taxpayers.
And
You believe that? We should have legal immigration and build a wall around the welfare state. Who thinks like that? First of all, why would you even want a welfare state? These are supposed to be some of the best minds that money can buy, the way I see it. And I'm laying that on thick when I say that money can buy. But yeah, you have all these people saying that Donald Trump is the racist, he's the fascist, his followers are a cult. And look at the mindset of all these people that they're questioning. This was the best. We want legal immigration, but build a wall around the welfare state. What would the welfare state be? How would it look like? Where would it start? Who would be in it? Can't make this up. His words, not mine. He said it. Trump is talking about trying to get the economy going where everybody can prosper. No, this guy is thinking about, let's let in the illegals and build a fence around the welfare state. You have, now I see her name, Mayor Michelle Wu from Boston, is saying, we're sick and tired of people on the outside telling us how to live, but yet she doesn't care about, which illegal comes in that might or might not be a criminal, because they don't ask them that, they don't ask for that, their legal status. Brandon Johnson doesn't know a damn clue. I mean, I know he knows. He's just plain stupid. He knows how much money they spend in Chicago. And Eric Adams is all by himself giving the numbers with his head down. Let's get to the next video. Here we go.
This is Mr. Jordan from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor Johnston, who's Abraham Gonzalez?
Thank you, Congressman. He is a individual that was released from the county jail on Friday in the city and county of Denver.
That's all you know about him?
I do know that he was facing charges that the
Venezuelan gang member arrested by Border Patrol on September 20th, 2023, released into the country by the Biden administration. A few months later, he's arrested in your city, charged with aggravated assault. On March 11th, 2024, he's charged with motor vehicle theft, stole a car, and then on March 20th, 2024, Mr. Gonzalez is charged with felony menacing. 6 days after that last charge, I send you a detainer, which includes an administrative warrant. Basically, it says if you're going to release this bad guy, this gang member who allegedly stole a car, menaced people, and assaulted people, give us a 48-hour heads up. Is that right? That refresh your memory?
I do know about the detainer request. I do know that we provided a notification of release.
What kind of notice did you give ICE when you released him?
We gave him notification. I'm not sure how long in advance it was. I do know that
1 hour.
I do know that there was
1 hour notice, and you released him 5 days ago, right? Why not give him more heads up? Actually, let's put the slide up. Let's see what it says here. Let's put the slide up. This is what the Denver Sheriff's Department, it's kind of hard to see, so I'll read it. It says, Denver Sheriff Department, ICE notification being released to the streets.
Unreal.
I simply said, we want just release him to us. You release him to the streets. Why not release him to ICE?
Thank you. What we've done, and we do this regularly, we've done 1,226 of these, is we notify
I'm asking about one. I'm not asking about the 1,200. I'm asking about Mr. Abraham Gonzalez, who's a gang member from Venezuela, stole a car, assaulted someone. You had him in your custody for how long?
I know that we released
345 days you had him in custody. And I said, hey, can you give us 48 hours heads up?
Unreal.
I don't know.
You gave him 1 hour notice.
Mr. Congressman, we notified them of release. There were 6 ICE agents present when he was released, so they had enough time to respond and to be present.
Respond where?
To the jail where we released him from. So we released him we notified them of the release time. When we notified them of release, they come to the jail facility to pick them up.
Well, why didn't you say that's not what you said. You said you released him to the streets. Did you release him to the streets? You release him to ICE?
What we do, sir, is we release him from our county jail and we coordinate with ICE on that release time and release date so that ICE can come and pick them up from that location.
Pick them up where? In the parking lot?
Yes, sir, they're on the facility
Guess
property.
what happened in the parking lot?
I know, sir. I've reviewed the video. So I looked at it. I've talked to the sheriff last night.
One of the ICE officers got assaulted, didn't he?
I've reviewed the video,
They had
sir.
to tase the guy, didn't they?
Would you like me to answer, sir?
No, I'd like you to answer. Did they tase him?
I know that there were 6 officers that had multiple tasers. I saw the
So they had
defendant on
6
video.
officers. If you keep him in the facility and they come in the facility and get him, does it take 6 officers? Probably takes 2, doesn't it?
So we've been doing these, as I mentioned, 1,224 times, 1,226 times. This is the first time I've been made aware of there's been an incident like this. So I reached out to ICE after I saw the video. I've coordinated with their team and offered to sit down and see if there are procedures we can change.
It's a simple
make sure this
question.
works smoothly.
It's a simple question. You can release him in the parking lot, give ICE 1 hour notice, and they got to send 6 officers to arrest this guy. Or you can say, hey, what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hold him. You come in and bring 2 officers in, and you turn him over there. Why not do it that way?
We have a city ordinance.
You know why you don't do it that way?
We have a city ordinance that
Because
governs.
you're a sanctuary city. This is the whole point.
No.
That's basically what it is. He's going to say no, sir, but it's true. I've known of guys that have been arrested, all right, and they try to skip town and go to another county or whatever the case is. Once they finish their sentence there, they don't release them. They don't let them out in the parking lot. No. The county, the first place where they committed a crime, they come and they pick them up right inside the prison. They escort him, handcuffed and all, right into another paddy wagon, and he's on a road trip to do his second stint. Why is it that they always let these illegal immigrants that commit crimes go? That's what happened to Lake and Riley. Okay, the guy that killed her. He messed up in New York, and they let him go. Didn't keep track of him, nothing. He made his way down to Georgia, and sadly, he took her life. The other 2 guys that killed the 12-year-old girl, Jocelyn Nungary, I think her name is. Okay, I keep forgetting her name, forgive me. Okay? One of them had an ankle monitor on. So him and his boy were at the bar drinking. Last I checked, in all honesty, maybe I'm wrong, but if you got an ankle monitor on, they're supposed to be monitoring where you're going. Supposedly, these 2 guys were at the bar drinking. They decided to leave, follow her, get her attention, okay? Take her under a bridge, brutally rape her, strangle her, and throw her half-naked body into the water. And then, when they wind up leaving the scene of the crime and going home, the guy cut off his ankle bracelet because he wanted to skip town. And it was the roommate that they were staying with that I believe wind up calling the cops and said, something's not right here with this dude. But my question is this, why did he have on an ankle monitor? Because they found out that he also committed crimes in his country. Mayorkas of them come out and say, no, we give them that to make sure that they don't skip town, that they have to go to court. No, or did you do it the way you do a regular American criminals when you don't want them to skip town? What do? You give them an ankle monitor. Why? Because you already know they committed a crime. So in my opinion, you knew that man committed a crime. And you let him out into the street with no clue, only after the fact, that he took this poor girl's life. Then the news came out. Oh, he's wanted in his country also. But just like Obama and the Biden administration, always let the criminals have the last word. Always come up with excuses. Because what Jordan is asking them is true. You had him there for nearly a year, a little over a year, whatever amount of days he said. First of all, if he was an American, I could understand it. You want to hold him so he could finish the sentence for the crime he committed, and then send him off to another jurisdiction so he could do more time. But you knew for a fact he's an illegal immigrant. Why did you waste taxpayers' money for 300 and some odd days when all you had to do was call ICE and say, get this prick out of my city? slingshot his ass back across the border. Because they don't care. And he was probably hoping, okay, the mayor, he was probably hoping that once they let him out, or maybe he was told to let him out an hour before they let ICE know, that the guy would run, that he would get away. And maybe ICE caught wind of it and say, you know what, let's get there 15 minutes earlier. Just to make sure. Because what do you think? If you're going to tell them that, oh, we're going to release this guy at 3 o'clock, that they're going to show up at 3:05? Is that what you was hoping? That's what it seems like to me. But let an American get arrested, commit multiple crimes in multiple counties. You hear it all the time on the news. So-and-so got arrested. He committed a crime in Georgia. And then he went up to Pennsylvania, and they caught him. He's going to do time. And then they show him handcuffed coming inside the courtroom. And then when he's done there, you see them escorting him outside into another paddy wagon, and they're shipping his ass to another county. But not when it comes to the illegal migrants. No. That sanctuary city status, I have no idea who came up with the idea, with the fact that it's okay for them to commit crimes, and because they're protected under sanctuary city status, we're not allowed to arrest them or treat them wrong because they're seeking asylum. They're in a sanctuary. How can they be seeking asylum if they're running from committing crimes in their country, and then they come to our country and commit more crimes? Why do you keep treating them as if they're running from the damn Gestapo, or they're like political prisoners? It's none of that. None of that. They're not running from religious persecution. None of that. They're running because they committed crimes, and they don't want to get their asses handed to them back in their country. But only in America can the bleeding heart liberals, with their demonic agenda, let stuff like this happen. And the rhinos, and I believe there's some Republicans out there also. Let's get to what Donald Trump said that night at the speech, and then we'll wrap this up. Here we go.
But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world.
I love the way he pointed at the Democrats when he said that.
Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies.
Yep.
They are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast.
Look at this. No Democrats are standing up. None of them. The women in pink, not these women, because she might be one of them. I don't know. Or I think she's on the other side of the aisle. It just looks like she's with them. But these women right here sitting in pink, they're supposed to be part of that. I forgot what they call it. But anyway, they're supposed to be for women. Women's rights. Okay, all that good stuff. And yet they know what Donald Trump is talking about. They know where he's going with this. They should be happy and say, you know what? Those are less people we got to worry about that are going to commit crimes, if anything, against the women in our country, or even women from their country. But no, they won't stand up. Out of hate for one man, all these people here would sacrifice innocent people. Not that I have a hard time saying innocent people, because everybody's innocent. Even if you live a life of crime, nobody deserves to. I don't care if a woman lives a life of crime, she doesn't deserve to be raped and murdered. And you know what I'm saying? But I understand why we use the term innocent, but they have no remorse. Okay? No remorse, no respect to stand up and say, you know what, let's at least clap for this. Because whether it's an American woman or child, or it's a woman or child from another country, whether they're a good person or a bad person, nobody deserves to be brutalized the way these women and children are brutalized. And I know some people would say, well, some women get into some stuff, they deserve what they get. I have a hard time with that. I truly do. I'll be honest. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's just something about women and children being hurt that really irks the living shit out of me. But that's just me. I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyway, just so you guys can see, they're all sitting down. Everybody else is getting up and clapping. They know where they're going with this. They know what way he's going with this. But nope. They won't do it.
And I want to thank Tom Homan and Christy. I want to thank you and Paul of Border Patrol. I want to thank you. What a job they've all done. Everybody, Border Patrol, ICE, law enforcement in general is incredible. We have to take care of our law enforcement. Have to. Last year, a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Lakin Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Lakin was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Lakin was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's open southern border and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Lakin's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren.
They can't, you know, this kills me right here. I got to go to this guy, right? This guy's such a pig. This dude right here. You're not even looking. I mean, it's like a couple of them are clapping, but it's like they're not even paying attention. It's like, turn your attention this way. Especially Hakeem Jeffries. He talks so much about women's rights. Dude, turn your bald freaking head to his right and give respect, man.
Last year, I told Lakin's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's a very strong, powerful act.
Look at that. Now one of them standing up. It's unbelievable. And just so everybody knows, just so all you lefties out there, because I know some of you are going to watch this video and try to badmouth me. I don't care. I really don't care about what words you got to say. That crap don't bother me. Is that when they wanted to pass the Lakin Riley Act, nearly every Democrat voted against it. They didn't want it. And their excuse was because it was, what was it? That it was going to single out and cause more damage to the immigrant community or something to that effect. So to them, it was just like, no, because then you're just going to go and, you know, since you're racist, you're just going to go and pick up any migrant that you deem might be illegal. I mean, I'm telling you, their reasoning, their thinking is beyond words, man. It really is beyond words. And before anybody says, well, the justices and the military brass, they can't stand up. I already know that. They never stand up. They barely clap, if ever, because they have to show that they're neutral. I'm talking about all the Democrats over here. And this is just one instance in the night, because he also paid homage to Jocelyn. He also paid homage to DJ. And the same thing. They just sat there. And especially with the little boy that was suffering from cancer, in case anybody hasn't heard, or you have heard, if you remember, so much that the Democrats talk about DEI and black and brown and indigenous people and women's rights and we love the kids. They didn't stand up for these two women, for their losing their daughters. They didn't stand up for DJ. But if it was a trans kid right away, they'd stand up, forget about it. They'd be swinging off the rafters, throwing confetti. If it's some fat burly dude with lipstick on saying that he wants to be called Sarah because he's trans, forget about it. He's breaking strides. We got to stand for that woman. Her rights are at risk. But not the two girls who were brutally raped and murdered because of policies that the man you swore was the best option for this country. You did his bidding. Just like the mayors did his bidding, let people become victims, a long-lasting pain that is going to last with their family forever. And then on top of all that, to put the icing on the cake, you get mad at Trump because he wanted to separate the children from adults because they wanted to find out if those adults that were with them were really their parents. So he started doing DNA tests. You said that that was wrong, but yet Biden gets into office, and 2 months after he gets sworn in, they're shipping busloads of kids out of from the border straight into San Diego and all around the country, with no parents, not knowing who their parents are, just shipping them out.
It's called the Laken-Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley.
There you go. As a matter of fact, right here, that's Jocelyn Nungare. That's her mom. He actually, this was real special. I mean, everything he did that night was special, in case you haven't heard. I'm not going to play the videos because they're kind of long. Well, one of them's like 2 minutes, but I'll just give you a quick rundown, okay? What he's holding up is that in where they lived, there is a animal sanctuary, a park. It's like, it's really big. They named it after her daughter because her daughter loved animals. Beautiful thing for him to do. You think the Democrats gave him, applauded him for that? No. The boy down here, this is DJ. Okay, DJ Daniel. This is the head of Secret Service. Where my green hand is pointing, my pointer. He's holding up a badge because they made him an honorary Secret Service agent. Did the Democrats get up and clap? No. The same way you see them sitting down for Laken-Riley is the way they sat down for Jocelyn Nungare and for DJ Daniel. Think about that. And then after everything was done, where they have to give a rebuttal, with like they always do, the other party comes in and gives a rebuttal, all they did was badmouth Trump. All they did was badmouth and say he lied about everything. Not once did they mention anything about these three particular things right here. Not to mention, and I'll make it quick so we can wrap it up, he wind up getting a prisoner that was in Russia for years. He wind up getting him freed. He was in the crowd, him and his wife. That man and his wife, over the years, have fostered, I think they said 40 or over 40 different children. Did he get a round of applause for that? No. Not one bit. Excuse me. Why? The left is supposed to be the party of, freeing political prisoners, for black, brown, and indigenous people, women's rights, children's rights. The women's rights is out the door. The indigenous people's rights are out the door because you care nothing about the kids that are coming over the border. Many of whom are coming from Guatemala, from different tribes. Nobody understands their language, their dialect. For all we know, they're out there screaming. You think they're acting up, saying, oh, he's just a child acting up, when the poor child could be screaming, this is not my father, help me, help me, help me. No, stick him on a bus, send him somewhere else. And then the little boy over here, the little American African boy over here, who, if you didn't see the video, you should. He has a big scar on his head from the brain surgery that he had. He was only given but so many months to live. That was what they said 5-6 years ago. He overcame the odds. He's there with his dad. Okay? So caring about black people, that's out the door. Caring about children, that's out the door. Caring about brown indigenous people, that's out the door. Caring about women, that's out the door. And yet all you people can say is that Donald Trump's the racist. He's the existential threat to this country. That we are a cult. Since when have you ever heard people from a cult? And I'm being honest. Because it always ends up the same. People in cult, they wind up killing themselves, killing each other, killing others. Doing suicidal cult pacts and shit like that. And yet we're trying to preserve life. Trying to make sure that girls don't have to get abortions, that if they get pregnant, that they could be taken care of. That little boys with cancer and little girls with cancer, that they have a future. That women that just want to go out there and go jogging, take a walk, they don't have to worry about being kidnapped and raped and murdered. And you call us the cult. Trump's the problem. All this falls on Biden. Biden did all that. I'm not blaming the little kid with the cancer on Biden. I'm not going to do that. No, because obviously not. But Biden could have got that guy out of Russia, knowing what kind of impact he had here in the States, adopting kids. Nope. Couldn't do a deal with Putin. Trump did it. And everybody's going to say, well, that's because Trump's his girl, blah, 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 whatever. Because of his policies, let these criminals out in the street. Because of Eric Adams' policies, the policies in Colorado, the policies in California, in Chicago, in all these blue states, let these criminals out, and girls are dead. Girls with a future are dead. While these dudes are out there, some of them probably still on the run, some of them locked up, but they're alive. The girls are gone. And then all you male content creators that stand for all this stuff on the left, the transgenderism, the trans kids, women's rights to bodily autonomy and getting abortions, you have no damn clue. You say you're men, you're cowards. Just like Biden was a damn coward. And beyond that, him and his sick, demonic agenda and the people that work for him and the people that are all in on this, you have problems. You're mental. I'll not understand it, and to tell you the truth, I don't want to understand it. Anyway, people, hope you liked the video. I just want to thank all my new subscribers and all my subscribers here on YouTube and on Rumble. So don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and pass the channel around. And remember, people, stay vigilant. Keep praying for each other. Keep praying for the women and the children. Pray for this country. Pray for your enemies. Pray for Donald Trump. And don't forget to pray for all the missing children that they brought across the border. Peace.